morning, good morning. It is, what is it, Thursday morning. It's a little gray outside. We've even got some showers, but you know what? We're going to be doing just fine. Rise and shine, my friends. This is Coffee Talk, and I'm meteorologist Eric Burris. Let's get right to it and just kind of see where we're at. Because we've got the clouds, we've got the showers, nothing too strong, but there's definitely some rains we're dealing with, and it's all because of a cold front. So that cold front is going to be a system that will be impacting us over the next few hours' time, right? All right, that said, let's take you out to the Tower Cam network and just kind of get a lay of the land here and see what's doing as we say good morning and welcome you in. This is a shot I was showing just a couple of minutes ago on the air. Port Canaveral with the gray skies. We've definitely been watching some of the rains around. Let me take you over to Daytona Beach, check in there, see how things are looking. It's not a situation where we're going to get a ton of rainfall. This is not going to be a drought buster in any way, shape, or form. However, we need some rainfall. Certainly not a bad idea to get some rainfall. So we'll take it. Let's go to let's go to downtown Orlando, and then I want to end, if I can, in Ocala, because it's in Ocala downtown. Maybe. All right, we can go to Ocala. That's fine. This is going to be the first spot that will clear out the rains, right? As everything clears with that cold front. So we're not there yet, but we will get there. So let's get right over to our first warning live Doppler radar and let's just kind of see where we're at, okay? So this morning we'll take you into the metro, and really great news, it's quiet in the metro at the moment. Notice a few sprinkles up around Sorrento. That said, we come over here to Brevard County and Titusville, Port St. John, Cocoa Beach, Melbourne, watching rains, all the way down to Palm Bay, more off to the west, developing out over Winter Haven, and over to the Gulf Coast, watching these showers. Now, I want to switch over to the Tampa radar. You know what? Maybe that's Virga. That may not even actually be making it to the ground, interestingly enough. Some of that, yeah. So maybe some of that isn't quite going to make it to the ground. Either way, we've got showers around, okay? All right, let's talk about the forecast for the day ahead. Temperatures today start off nice, comfortable. We're in the 50s. We'll work our way to 60 degrees by lunchtime, then down again to the 50s, 3, 4, 5 p.m. And then through 7 o'clock, little by little, those rain chances have cleared. We'll start falling those temperatures, and tonight's going to be nice and cool. So, we've got a really nice adjustment ahead. We just kind of have to get there, right? So, with that, I'll say good morning to you, and thank you so much for hanging out for Coffee Talk. So, obviously, we've got that adjustment. Now, I want to show you the 7-day forecast here purposefully because looking ahead, we've got some decent little changes here. So first off, you'll notice today I put 56 there. The high is 60. And I don't want to be misleading here, but I want people to know like what the temperature is going to be this afternoon, right? 63, our high temperature tomorrow. It's going to be a little higher, but the swing is going to be bigger. So today, the falling temperatures in the afternoon, 56. You'll notice tomorrow morning, 38. That's going to be a colder start. That's why it's impact weather. Then it's warmer into the afternoon. Then Saturday, Sunday, we're nearly 70 degrees. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're nearly 80 degrees. So you can see where we are making some changes here. We're fixing things up. We're doing the things, right? So little by little, we're doing it. All right. So yeah, questions, comments, concerns. I mean, there's plenty we'll talk about, but instead of me just running my mouth, let's just talk. Seth says, no one I would rather wake up and have coffee with. Don't tell my wife, but thank you. I know she and I are on a very different platform. I'm okay with that. There's no competition, but I thank you. That is high praise. Chris says, put the 60-degree high down below in a small font and the lowest temperature. It gets confusing. Different forecasters do it differently. Like Cam would put 60 with an arrow down. I'm just doing afternoon temp, morning temp. And most of the time that's your high and your low. But on a day like today, it is what it is. you know, yeah. Cheryl says, thank you, Lord. Tim's asking, I had Coke Zero as my coffee this morning. Can I still be here? Listen, you're literally on the edge of the planet. If anybody can get away with whatever the heck they want, it's going to be you. I read the endurance. Anyway, we're gonna get. I talked to Tim a little bit yesterday, and what's super cool is we're gonna get him on here, and we're gonna ask him to teach us all about what he learned, what he felt, how it was down there. So that's kind of exciting, you know. All right. So yeah. All right. So I see a couple of people asking for the BSR. I'll figure out. I can't promise. I'm gonna try and just a little can't figure out how to do it. Interesting. Oh, I know what happened here. Okay. Start virtual camera. BSR. Is that working? All right. If I do that, you guys aren't getting feedback or anything, right? I just want to make sure because I just tweaked. I know, but I think I fixed the echo. Did I fix it? See, I this is how like doing the BSR maybe is difficult. Tell me if I fixed the echo though. We did get feedback. Yes, there was an echo, but not anymore. As long as it's gone. Okay, as long as it's gone. All right, we fixed it. Okay. Because I have to run it through this computer. It's such a I know. It's such a humongous pain in the neck. All right, that's that. Okay, I'm trying to set up the BSR for us. All right, well, before we even do that, let's just take a minute here and not just the 7-day, but let's look at the European or the GFS model, because the GFS actually switched into something here. Okay, the GFS started picking up on that cold front that the European has been talking about. If you remember yesterday, the GFS was taking us to like 90 by like the 18th, 19th of February. And then now it's showing that cold front coming not this weekend, but next weekend. So the Daytona 500 new model data is starting to show some cooler temperatures. So the very early call on the Daytona 500, the very early call on it. And again, this is going to change, I would suspect, but the very early call shows temperatures in the 60s. We'll see how it eventually plays out, but that's kind of the first glance at it, if you will, right? All right. So what I'm gonna how do I do this? Okay. All right. I think I can. I'm gonna try this. So if I hit this button, see, you guys are putting me into technical. Please don't break the system. All right. I think that works. Yes. Okay. So BSR. Jesus, we're hacking the matrix here. Okay. So this is storm system in the Gulf moving in. That is January. Let me calculate this. 1, 2. So that's next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's showing some sort of a thing out in the Gulf, kind of moving in, a little Gulf low. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then kind of bombing off of the southeast coast. And then look at that, another little Gulf deal. When is that? That's the 14th, 15th, 16th. So that would actually be like the setup getting us into the Daytona 500. So that actually, and we'll have to look at the model to see if next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, getting to the Daytona 500, if there are some storms. But that looks like a pretty active little pattern right there. That's like the 15th, 16th, 17th of February. All right. And then beyond that, boy, we're entering into a real, look at that. That's a little active deal there. That's the 18th, 19th, 20th. Another Gulf low. Got a bunch of these little Gulf lows we're having to watch. Then we look like a little cold snap there. That's the 20th, 21st, 22nd. Looks like a pretty big push of cold there. And then a South Florida storm system around the 22nd, 23rd, 24th. And then outside of that, we pop up the model. There's a cold front there. That's the 27th, 28th into the 1st. So a cold front around our hurricane forecast release. And then look at that, like a panhandle low. That's March 5th, 6th, 7th. So there you go. We did it. We did it fairly quickly. It's not going to be the most detailed BSR look you've ever seen, but it's something. It's something. So at least it, hopefully that was at least a little bit of an update for you there on the BSR look. Either way, though, it definitely seems like we're going to be a little more. Let me just come over here real fast. It does seem like it's going to be a little more of an active pattern here. That's Port Canaveral. Let's go to Melbourne on TV. Yeah. So, yeah. Nautilus on YouTube says looking active coming up. Yeah, it is. It is looking active. All right, rundown. All right, Southern. All right, perfect. Pamela says keep those cold fronts coming. We're going to try. It may not be powerful, but we're going to try. Yeah. All right. Questions, comments, concerns before we go over to the chroma key, my friends? Do a little weather. GD Rowan, the slow Gulf lows need a night off. Well, here's the other thing. Those Gulf lows are indicators into hurricane season. Jeremy and I are working on it as we speak. Kenneth says, good morning, Eric. Do you think these blasts of cold air and fronts will cycle back around during hurricane season to make the season more active than normal for Florida? We're working on it. Lots of discussions there. Chris says, 3 of those BSR events you first picked up on January the 19th. I love hearing that. And I appreciate you for tracking because I just don't. Audrey on YouTube says, my son is getting married in Tampa on the 6th. Well, man, I hope for good weather for him. Really do. Annette says, I'm ready for the cold to be turned. Okay, thank you. Annette says, I'm ready for the cold to be turned off. Let me just say, I 1000% agree with you. I am done. I, for one, am done with winter. I have no interest in it anymore. I am ready for spring. I'm ready to be done with winter. Period. Today's my last day in Antarctica, heading back to Argentina tonight. Man, Tim, what an adventure you're on, bud. What an adventure. I just cannot wait. I cannot wait to hear. I cannot wait to learn all about it. Just cannot wait to hear and learn about it. And all I hope is that it was everything you wanted it to be. That's all I'm hoping. Owners there, David and Lisa Hill said they lost the first 50% of the crop. The sunflower field here completely wrong. But other fruits like the peaches, blackberries, they were able to sustain the cold. LA believes that it's going to be some time until things get back to normal. They're aiming for April. So while they may not have any strawberries or blueberries for their new pick, they say that they will be open though for other attractions in the farm. Like Southern Hill Farms is so pretty. What a shame. Such a great place to go. We really enjoyed it. We took such great pictures there at Sunflower Farm. This, around like Halloween time in the fall. So it's tough to see.
Yeah.
I Eric, you spoke with David.
Yeah.
I talked to him as well, just because those temperatures, he really was so concerned about that reason. Yeah. He needed to be. He fought the fight, man, like all night, and you could just hear the defeat in his voice. And then the next night when it was getting cold, he and I chatted a few times before and then after, and it stayed just warm enough to not like double in on the other crops that were at least able to survive night one. So listen, he understands that it is the way that it is, but the good news is for now, we don't have any blasts that cold in the forecast. That said, though, for today, the clouds and showers we're dealing with now drop the temperatures, and tomorrow morning, it's impact weather. Not as cold. We're not going to be in like the lower 20s. We'll be in the upper 30s, but it's still jacket weather. So I want you to know about that. Tomorrow afternoon, high of about 63 degrees. Then this weekend, we'll start to warm and begin a warming trend. But for now, we've been tracking rains all morning long. First warning live radar showing a quiet I-4 corridor. However, the roads are slick because even though the rains have ended, we've got the clouds kind of limiting the sunshine from helping to dry things out. Showers, Titusville, Port St. John, we're drier up to the north. Heavier waves of rain, though, now working into Point Siena and Kissimmee, and all of that eventually ending up into Brevard County. So just keep that in mind. Speaking of Brevard County, let me take you over to Melbourne. The taxiways here at the airport are a little wet. You can see the roadways here on the service roads, also quite wet. Temperatures out the door in the 50s for us. However, Alachua County and points to the north, that's where the frigid air is. And little by little, that works into our area. So there's a few more showers still with us, okay? Through lunchtime, we'll clear out those showers, clear out the skies little bit by little bit. We'll hit 60 degrees as our high temperature. And then notice afternoon and evening, those temperatures start to drop little by little as that colder air dives in. So 60 is our high. These are our afternoon temperatures. We're into the 50s. Then tomorrow morning, we're into the 30s. That does include a freeze north and west of town, Ocala, the Villages, and Wildwood. Tomorrow afternoon, dialing up the temperature just a smidge back into the 60s. And then for the weekend, we're into the upper 60s, nearly 70 degrees, which means if you're making plans for the Super Bowl, and you can, of course, watch that on our sister station, WESH 2, notice temperatures are going to be in the 60s. It does look fantastic. Just have to kind of get through some chillier air. So really, we're just watching the transition today, but by this weekend, we're back to nearly 70 degrees. Megan, good morning. Oh boy. We have a big accident. I don't like that. Oh man. Okay. Debbie says, stop ignoring me. I was doing the weather, Debbie. Aye. Let's see here. That sums it up. I'm done with winter. Let's see here. Nature will bounce back. It always finds. Nature finds a way. Oh man. Let's see here. Are we done with freezing and frost? No. I mean, I just talked about it, and maybe you asked the question before I did that hit, but no, we've got. Look, we're still in winter, and frankly, we just looked at the BSR, and if memory serves, and remember, I have a terrible memory, but if memory serves, didn't it look like we had? Late February, was it? Like a pretty decent cold front that was going to move in? Isn't that what it was? Nautilus says, missed the BSR. You can go back and watch it. It's there, baby. It's there. Almost nobody covered up their plants here, and they all are sad looking now. Oh, yeah. No, the neighborhoods are all looking rough. Well, and then add to the fact that we're into the dry season, right? And so we're looking at, yes, glad you caught that, Oliver. The wildfire season, I'm genuinely a little concerned with things because of these freezes. What that's done is that's taken vegetation and killed and dried. So that is definitely a worrisome contributing factor come that season, right? All right, let's see here. Did you say something about frigid air? I prefer GE, but to each their own. Aren't they like owned by the same company at this point? I feel like that's all just the same stuff. You're just buying different labels at this point. Maybe. Do any of the models show any storm systems that BSR is showing? Oh, see, I haven't added. So I'm using the new social toolkit. I haven't added that. Okay, so then what I need to do, see, I haven't added that. Hold on a second. If I do, see, I need to turn that on. Come over here. I'm going to have to put it up like the BSR because I don't have it. So funny. I just don't have it set up yet. All right. So come over here, hit interact button. Okay. So there's that storm system. This weekend, be almost exactly what the BSR showed. There's a storm system that's around the fort. That's the cold front that we had talked about for the Daytona 500. There's the next one around the 21st. So we're starting to see those patterns showing up. So yeah, I mean, makes sense. It's interesting. I know. Listen, I know. I get it. I've never worn my hoodies much in my life. Well, this has been a winter. This has definitely been a winter. Yeah. Definitely been a winter. So anyway, all right, that's all I've got, people. Are you good? I'm good. Listen, thank you so much for hanging out for Coffee Talk. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Be the sunshine in someone else's day, and I will see you guys later. Sound good? All right, bye.